Hello and welcome to Sacred Foundations. I'm giggling because I just hit record and I didn't even say anything to Jill. It was like I just hit record. So Jill, I hope you're okay that we're recording. So welcome to Sacred Foundations. This is our May 2023 monthly reading. I'm Julia Frainer with Soul Space Studio. I'm with my good friend Jill Chesro. We're both at our daughter's houses hanging out with grandkids. So we're not in our own space. Welcome, Jill. It's so good to see you.
It's good to see you. I like your background.
Thank you.
Very comfy.
It's a huge bed behind me.
Yeah, so I am super excited. And where are we? The 7th of the month. So Julia and I have a little bit different of interpretations in this reading, which I think is beautiful because we each pull through what is coming through. So we're going to invite you as we move into this reading. First of all, look at the cards, see what comes up for you. If you want to pause the video before we even jump into the interpretations that we have coming through for us, that's beautiful. Look at the images on the cards, the colors of the cards, the words of the cards, and see what comes up for you. We're going to share. We both have a process as far as how we tune in to receive intuitive messages. And the intention always is what information is most beneficial for those watching this video, whether it be May 2023 or anytime you come across this video. The information is both timely as far as what's going on right now, but it's timeless because anytime you come across this information is exactly when the message is there for you. So I want you to trust that. And yeah, anything I'm forgetting as far as the cards go?
No, I think that's really good. And I know I'm springing this on you. Could you share just really briefly the deck of art frequency cards that you sent that I got from you? Please, just even if you don't have them, I don't have mine sitting right here, but just mention them because
they're across the room. They're behind me.
Mine are over there too.
Yeah, so I've been working with encoded art for, oh my gosh, I want to say since 2010. So the two decks that we use are actually what I call encoded art. There's a lot behind the encoded art, but I believe that the cards hold frequencies. So in addition to the two decks that Julia and I use, the Awakening to Your Divine Self card, and then and then the Priestesses of the New Earth deck, I actually have in the introduction to the second deck about how they're energy essence transmission cards. So they have a frequency all their own from the women that created these cards. I created, it's like a channeling, 9 images in the Legacy Weaver attunement archetype information. So I have 9 cards. They each have their own encoded message, and it's a way to really tap in and connect with the Legacy Weaver archetype, which is awakening in humanity as a whole has access to the Legacy Weaver archetype. It's an archetype, it's an energy signature pattern that this universe uses. There are people that are waking up to or deepening their Legacy Weaver connection. And it's just a beautiful thing. And, I say that in awe, not because I created it, because I am a steward of this work and it's so powerful and so beautiful. And yeah, I wish I had them to show you. But anyway, Jules, you have a deck. So how is that working for you?
Yeah, it's very magical. There's a lot of medicine in it. There's a lot of gifts. And the reason why I invited Jill to mention this is because I've been working with one particular card from that deck. And it worked really well with what came through for me at a personal level with May's cards and also collectively. And so I just wanted her to mention it. Thank you, Jill, so much. So that when we roll into this, I can kind of mention it as well. So Yes, thank you. And I think we're going to do more work. Jill's created, she and I are kind of co-creating together another transmission for Sacred Foundations. And I think that as when her and my life slows down a little bit with family and all of the things in the world, that's going to tie in really well with these readings also. So we're just kind of dropping it right now for you to kind of, right, Jill, to kind of just start feeding.
Yeah, I actually have a prototype of those ones, semi-handy. These are the two that I've been working with right now. These are just samples. So it'll look, finished product will look a little bit different than that. But I pulled the Sacred Foundation cards into this reading for myself personally. Yeah, that's another thing I want to talk about just briefly is layers. Because there are so many layers to the work that's being done, right? We always invite you to consider that this is not just information. You want to use it. You want to use it. You want to ground the information and take some practical grounded action steps based on the information that you receive. So again, just going off a surface reading of what you first get when you look at the cards and whatever, when you can implement the information is really when there are major shifts that starts to happen in life. And it really becomes that sacred foundation, which is the basis of this work is, creating and deepening a sacred foundation. So that's always the intention we go to when we do these readings is how can we build, strengthen, or deepen our sacred foundation as human beings, as divine beings in human form, expressing in this lifetime. So yeah, just everything's just so beautiful, even when it's not.
Right. And that's part of this beautiful work. We can see the beauty even when things don't on the surface look beautiful. And so when you have that firm foundation, sacred foundation to build upon and to strengthen yourself with, it comes through. So
which doesn't mean it doesn't suck though in the moment.
Right.
So
right.
we're
And
not
that's okay.
bypassing that. Yeah.
Yeah. No bypassing. I mean, you can own that it is pretty sucky at times. And I think collectively we're feeling some energies. So we'll dive into this reading. If you're ready, we're going to be quick. The idea here is, again, Jill says to, invites us to look at the cards. If you have your own deck, pull these out and work with them throughout the month, the rest of the month. If you don't have a deck and you want a deck, reach out to one of us. And we're going to be brief. And so if there's more to this reading that you're like, oh, I just like to, see what more insights Julia and Jill have, reach out to us. We will be happy to share more with you. But we're just going to give you a little tidbit today. So, Jill, you want to go first?
I do. You want to pull up the cards?
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm in control today. I forgot. There we go.
All right. So again, we use a spread called the Cross of Truth, which is typically a 5-card spread. But for the second card, Julie and I both pull a card. So the base card or the theme of this month is the light of hope. So that is this card here, the base card. So the light of hope, you've got, we've got these two people, they're looking at each other. There's the silhouettes above, which is talking about support. Julia is actually going to go a little bit more into the support thing. To me, I see these flames above these two people's heads, and I really went straight to related to the intention card that is in the middle. Intention-based living is so important right now. Some people are so naturally in flow and in harmony. They don't necessarily have to take the time to create an intention or whatever, and that's beautiful. That works for them. For most other people, they really benefit from setting some type of an intention, whether you call it an intention, a goal. Julia does beautiful intention work as far as helping people set up intentions. But if you have a goal, a desire, a wish, or an intention, that focuses in the energy, right? A lot of people listening to this are super creative, and the energy just always feels amazing or whatever. But sometimes you want to focus that energy in, whether it's health, wealth, happiness, or creative self-expression. Whatever you're focusing on, having an intention takes the energy and it brings it in. So the light of hope is a positive thing. Obviously, you want to think about and concentrate on, what you want to create, not what you don't want. So we've got the waiting card. To me, this card is showing stillness and centeredness and groundedness. So from a positive mindset, from a place of stillness, set an intention of what you want to co-create with the universe in your life at this point in time. Then the next card is Imagine. That's the helpful energy card. Creative visualization is key. A lot of times people say, I can't visualize or whatever. And there's different ways to do it. If you don't see something in your mind's eye, create a vision board or a dream board. Julia's also amazing at this type of work. But engage your imagination in a way where you're thinking about what you want. And when you're thinking about it, it's eliciting great feelings. That's huge, helpful energy at this point in time, right? So can you feel the expansiveness of this right now? You're excited about something. You have this intention. You're coming from a place of centeredness. You're using your imagination and just, wouldn't it be great if is something Abraham Hicks talks about, if you're familiar with them, and really just tapping into this expansive creative energy. The obstacle energy is messages and signs. And we just talked about the last time this card popped up. The fact that it's in the obstacle position at this point in time is a reminder that the universe is always showing you signs and giving you messages. There's no question about that. The question is, are you hearing it? Are you receiving it? Or are you like, oh no, I can't do that, or thinking that you're making stuff up or whatever. So journaling is just a beautiful way to really, get clear on what's coming through. And just paying attention to the messages and signs, or asking yourself, are there messages and signs that I'm ignoring? Just tune in and see what unfolds for you. The final card is Bravery. We've also seen this one recently. This card is about standing in your power. It's about freedom. It's about facing your fears. Sometimes if you have an intention for something specific, it does take bravery to take action on it and just stand in that knowingness that, yes, this is what you want to co-create in the world, and really, moving into that empowerment place can be scary, but you've got this. The universe wants you to know that you've got this personal power by your divine birthright to manifest what you want to, or align with what you want to align with in this lifetime. So I see a beautiful, beautiful, just expansive energy in here. I also saw there's a lot of creative energy in here with the sun, a lot of fire energy in here, which is about passion and action and stuff. But I also was seeing the cycles of the moon and how the phases and the cycles of the moon unfold. That is something Julia also works with that I'm not super familiar with. Julia, can you, as you move into your reading, either before, during, or after, talk a little bit about your Luna circle, because I think that would be helpful for people that aren't as familiar with the cycles of the moon and how powerful it actually is.
Thank you. Yes. And thank you for the insights that came through for you. I love how it just activates more in me, just hearing. So yeah, so Luna Gathering, we meet twice a month, right before the new moon or the dark moon, or the dark moon and the dark moon. There's no or, and the dark moon. Because you have a 3-day window of the new moon. And then we have the dark moon, which is that peak moment. And then we meet right before the full moon as well. My intention behind that is, if our lives are enhanced when we learn to live in harmony with the cycles of the moon, and thus we end up living in harmony with the cycles of the solar system. as well, the seasons. And signs and messages is really appropriate for that. You know, the different phases of the moon. There's 8 phases of the moon, as well as then we've got the wheel of the year, which takes us around. And what was so powerful, if I can, so we meet twice a month. Sorry, we meet twice a month, and what I do is I'm a curator of information. I like to know who's coming into community. So I won't just say, hey, here's the link, and if you want to join, join. I like to know who's coming in because I sit for several days before and several days after to really feel into what insights are wanting to be brought forward at this time for the highest and greatest good of those that are gathering together. It's really important for me to have a sacred sistership. Whenever women gather, when anybody gathers, it amplifies. But when I sit, I'm looking for what's going to come through, and I take different angles and offer different things in presentation, a lot of journaling prompts. We do some movement. We'll look at the chart at the time of the new and full moons. And I have found that always somebody receives something that they can take and work with during these times. And if we can just begin to align with those 2 points of the moon, then we begin to align with the other phases of the moon, which then takes us deeper and richer into aligning ourselves with the seasons. It's really very powerful and beautiful. I stay in contact with those that are consistently ongoing with me. And I think that all of these kinds of programs are important to be ongoing because it keeps us in the flow. It keeps weaving within our lives. So that's sort of a brief outline, but you can always reach out if you want to know more.
Thank you.
I wish the ladies could talk that have been with me for 3-4 years, because they can explain it so much more because they know what they're receiving from it. But anyways, thank you, Jill. I love doing what I do. I love doing what we do. It's so powerful, impactful. So the base card is the present card. We are always in the present now. We always are. We're in this present now, and then the next present now. All we have is the present now. And what really came out in this card, 2 things. One, the light. We see the flame. We see the couple. I'm going to see and read into it this time. The couple is the divine feminine, divine masculine in right sacred relationship that then ignites the flame within. And that flame within is at the Anahata, the heart space, the heart chakra, and also I believe the high heart. At the moment of conception, for every living thing, there is a spark of light that takes place. And it never goes out, ever. It is always there. And we have the power to activate that, sort of like your breath of life blowing on the embers of a fire that's about to go out, and it like whoosh, it lights up, right? And it heats. And so this is that divine love light. And when I activate my love light, and Jill activates her love light, and the ladies in community activate their love light, you can see from this image how that light begins to expand and glow and grow. And if we're looking at it as divine love, unconditional love, the kind of love we can't wrap our heads around, right? That love, if you can just start accessing that with that light of hope that you are, unconditional, always have been, eternal love light, and you can allow that to just begin to emanate and glow and grow and bathe the people around you, mighty changes will take place. Mighty changes. And right above, and I know it's hard to see, there's these little beings right above. And what came to me was that these little beings are our spirit team. They're the ones that say, hey, I got your back. I'm right here. Let's, have hope, trust in the process. We got you. And then, so taking that and knowing that that's ever present, and then we go into the second cards, which is our desires. And I'm just going to leave it at desires. The waiting. We often fear the waiting, but the waiting, like, that moment where you're waiting or it's quiet and you're like, I'm feeling a really uncomfortable right here. Sometimes in community, when I'm sharing and I'll ask a question and it goes really quiet and somebody's got to, like, I feel nervous, I got to break the silence. I'm like, no, it's okay. Don't break the silence. Let that waiting permeate and penetrate you. Let that move through that uncomfortableness to that point where, oh, that's what I'm sensing. That's what I'm feeling, right? And from that, then you can go into intentional living. So I am, as Jill said, I'm all about living intentionally. Doesn't mean it's written in stone, but your attention is going to go somewhere. So make it somewhere where you want it to go. We are in a time and space right now where if you don't place your attention on an intention, your attention is going to go to somebody else's intention, and you probably don't want that. Probably don't. So living intentionally, being patient, waiting. And that means connecting maybe with nature, sitting in a quiet room by yourself, doing more self-honoring is so important to enhance the desires to bring you into the present moment, which is all we have, that allows you to access that light of hope within yourself, that love light. The third card is imagine. This is the helpful energy card. And when we are so in it, in the thick of it, it's hard to imagine what's possible. But if we can climb those steps, especially if you can activate the inner child and the inner wise one, and they can hold hands going up to see the elevated view of what's going on and allow the sun to shine brightly on that, to allow the light to be cast and allow your light to work with the other light. The coding that you get, the activation that you get, allows you then to activate your inner imagination. And imagination, waiting, and intention goes so hand in hand. The opposing card is the messages and signs. And what I'm just gonna, Jill said it all. You're always receiving breadcrumbs. We are always receiving breadcrumbs. Even when you think the world is out to get you, there is a message and a sign in that. Even when things are really stinky, there's a message and sign in it. So go back to the desire of waiting. How can I wait through this? What do I need to know? My intention is set to know where is the message and sign in this really shitty situation, and to wait it through, move through it, gold mine it. It's always there. It comes back to the little beings that are in the light of hope. Those little, that's your spirit team. That's your God, goddess. That's source. That's whatever you call it. They're there. Your angels, your ancestors, they're there. They got your back. And they are presenting in any situation a gift for you. So that tidbit, that breadcrumb, that message, that sign. So even when it's in opposition, what can you find? Even at a full moon, you've got that little bit of tension. We know that sometimes a little bit of tension, the right amount of tension is just what we need for growth. And when we feed into the thing is really yucky, we increase that tension, which is probably a little bit too much. But you have just the right amount, it's going to give you growth. And then the outcome is simply bravery. And what I love about this card, when you look at it really closely, like she's rising above it all. She is the peak, she is the mountain, she is the whole, she is the collective. She bravely comes into the whole of who she is. And looking at it from this perspective of how we lay the cards out, she says it takes bravery to come to the outcome. And here are the ways to do it. So just by looking at this card spread alone, how can I be brave? Look at this and let the messages and signs, let that light of hope, let that love light ignite you. Get really imaginative, set your intention, and it all starts to weave together. I do want to add, the power of this came through for me personally when I was working with one of Jill's cards. That encoded art. I have slept with it under my pillow. And the insights that I'm personally getting have been increased, expansive. My view is expansive. I'm excited, more excited to dive deeper and deeper. Oh, breath. Can you feel it? Thank you.
That was amazing. And I love what you said about the support people. And I don't know, Jules, do you have your cards in front of you?
I do.
Can you see this little bean off to the side here?
Yes, yes, yes. Yes. Can I stop the share and you can hold it up?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little being here. It looks like an angel or a guide of some sites or some type. So, you know, Jules was talking about the support team and the spirit support team or whatever, and the guides of the light of hope with the images above. I see it clear up in here. And then the little being, you know, is here too. So huge, huge reminder to remember about the support team, as Julia already said. And yeah, so we hope that from this reading that you're able to pull out some pieces that you can implement, you know, whether it's getting still, whether it's setting an intention, or what word did you use, Julia?
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot what words I used.
You know, or how to engage your imagination more, you know,
Activate.
where might you be not receiving or taking the time to receive messages and signs. Anyway, there's a whole boatload of things that you can write down as, you know, potential action steps for you if you feel aligned to it. So sit with that and then utilize this energy, because I just felt the energy growing and growing. So, all right, I know this is probably a long one, but awesome, everybody. Jules, anything else you want to add before we head out?
No, thank you. I hope May is like incredibly beautiful for everyone. And we are text, message, email away.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.